All right, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? How is it going? I am Is There No One Else? And the video I'm bringing today, we are going to go through the studio director's letter, the 2020 retrospective. I read this a little bit earlier, and it brought up some good points, and I wanted to talk about a few other things. So let's do it. Read a letter from ZeniMax Online Studios director Matt Firer. I always say that name wrong. On the Elder Scrolls Online's challenges and triumphs in 2020. Greetings, ESO community. Well, we've done it. We've made it. Why do you gotta jinx it like that, Matt? Come on. We're 7 days away. 8 days, I'm sorry. We've made it. Almost as I typed this, don't want to jinx it. Too late. It's too late, you already wrote it. We made it to the end of 2020. All of us at ZeniMax Online Studios have been working from home since March, a huge change for us. We've managed to ride out the year mostly safely and have overcome the difficulties posed by the entire team working remotely. We're very fortunate and thankful to have been able to make the transition to working from home and emerge at the end of 2020 with our jobs and health intact. Absolutely. It's been a trying time for everybody, obviously. It's been a year that nobody's ever going to forget, that's for sure. So I totally get the efforts, and sometimes you overlook these things. You don't take into account how tough the year's been when you're dealing with stuff. But yeah, this is a year of contrast for the Elder Scrolls Online. Number of players joining the game, playing more often, playing longer, increased to a point we've seen only once before in 2015, just after console launch. Our year-long story arc with its focus on Western Skyrim and vampires certainly helped, but so did a combination of other factors, including the excitement generated by our first ever live announced show in Las Vegas last January, a tease of what was coming last December at the Game Awards, and of course the pandemic. However, we also experienced game instability, far too many bugs, and very rough update launches. I agree. I just talked about that in a video a couple days ago. Can't talk about ESO in 2020 without talking about the pandemic. Having much of the world shut down led to huge changes in player behavior in the game, far longer play sessions, and far more people playing. We're very much aware that ESO is an escape for many of you, even in the best of times, but during the many months where the outside world went awry, ESO became a refuge. A place to escape the reality of our not-so-awesome situations for at least a few hours at a time. Engagement in our housing system spiked, as many of you virtually nested. So it wasn't just about the number of you playing, it was how you changed and adapted during the pandemic. We're very humbled by the amazing outpouring of thanks from the community for helping you through a very trying time, and we will endeavor to continue being your safe port in the storm. That's a nice message. Yeah, I mean, obviously, you're gonna choose other things to do when you can't go out and see friends and play softball or whatever you do out in public in your free time. So yeah, video games spiked. I remember earlier on in the year where there was huge internet issues because there were so many people online at that point. But yeah, not just the game, but just just online. Things are not always so rosy for the ESO dev team, though. We kept our aggressive development schedule that, in hindsight, might not have been the right strategy. A combination of the normal ESO content cycle, investigating, fixing long-standing issues, optimizations to improve performance on lower power devices, also fewer blue screen errors, and the lack of team, both dev and Qt quality assurance cohesion brought on by work from home led to a poor experience in many cases for you. The short version is that we kept up our usual frenetic pace, but didn't allow for the realities of working remotely. Each of our 4 update launches were marred by errors and problems of various types. Patches to fix those issues sometimes led to more problems. Obviously, this is unacceptable, and we will be addressing as a team throughout 2021. So, yeah, we've talked about this a lot. We've talked about this a lot. There's no need to really go over it. I think it's great that they're admitting that this is what happened. I don't know. It's not too often people in a company, take blame for when stuff goes wrong, so you gotta give credit where it's due. It wasn't a great year. It was a trying time, and they tried to do some stuff, and they didn't succeed in some regards, and it's, you're not going to succeed at everything. So I think that's really good points. Obviously, I have no idea. As a guy that just plays the game, I have no idea, how big of an impact this is, but, I can just think about how big of an impact it's been, for my wife and I to be working from home, and, the trial and error that it takes to do that. So I totally get this, I totally get that, this was rough for them also. I'm sure seeing all the messages where it wasn't, enjoyable either. But you already know that 21 story arc is called Gates of Oblivion, and I'll leave it up to our reveal show next month to go into the specifics, but I want to highlight that in 2021 we will devote more time overall to stability and game performance and less time to new game systems, with standard content updates continuing unchanged. Okay. Well, we'll see. This is going to have to be a wait and see thing. Like I said, 2020 was supposed to be the performance updates. You're going to spend more time overall on stability than performance updates. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I'd love for this to be true, but I've lost hope in this regard. We'll still be working from home for the foreseeable future, and I want to ensure that our 2021 updates and patches are smooth and the player experience is enjoyable. This is an ongoing process, and remember that we are usually working on updates 6 months or more before they launch. So when we started WFH in March, I don't remember what WFH is, I'm sorry. So when we started WFH work from home in March, wow. We were already going on Q3 and Q4 content, which led to issues outlined above. We now have planned for the team to working remotely for roughly the first half of 2021, so the Introduce Fewer New Systems program will continue throughout 2021. All right, cool. That'll be perfect. I want to give a special shout out to everyone at ZeniMax Online. All of you in the community should know how awesome the ESO team is. It was a very, very difficult year for us, and the team made it throughout with a combination of humor, sometimes very dark, hard work, and perseverance. We could never have held together as a team during this year without the many years of teamwork behind us and respect that we have for one another. Even though we were stressed sometimes to the breaking point, we made it through because it is what we do. And of course, in closing, please know that everything we do on ESO is for you, the community. Even if we occasionally fall short, we are working diligently to provide you with the fantasy virtual world that you love. Your passion for the game is truly amazing, keeps us going through the dark times. Thank you all. Have a safe and peaceful holiday, and we will see you in 2021. So overall, good message. We'll have to see what they do. We'll have to see how things enact. Obviously, you guys know I'm addicted to this game, so I will continue to play it as long as it allows me to play it. There's a few other things I wanted to talk about because I was reading this and, it had me kind of branch out on my own thought. But this part right here, you already know that the 2021 story arc is Gates of Oblivion. And they also talked about last year they did their first ever live announced show in Las Vegas last January. I wanted to talk about this. I thought this was worthy of having its own conversation, and I wanted to kind of provide my thoughts on this. So I watched the show last year. I watched the show like a lot of people. I watched the Bethesda version and I watched the Fang Rush version. I don't know which one was better. Actually, I do know which one was better. If you watch the Fang Rush version, it was pretty damn funny. But anyways, it was a great idea. They brought in, they talked about the lore, they talked about the game, and they did a really good job of speaking to players potential players to come in and play an older MMO at this point. It's not super old, but it's not brand new either. And so I thought they did a good job with that. And my complaints, I had 2 complaints about the show. Number one, they didn't really talk about PvP at all. And all the trash talking that's going to ensue in the comment section below aside, this game used to market itself on being a large scale PvP MMO. I think you can still sell this game and its PvP. Even with the performance the way it is a very unique MMO PvP experience. It's unlike any other MMO in the game. And so to completely ignore a decent chunk of the game just seemed kind of off-put. Like all they said was, we're going to have Lancers. We're going to have a new siege weapon. And then they moved on, And so when you're pulling in players, you want to show that, hey, your $40 on this game aren't going to go, it's not going to be poorly spent, because we have this new quest line, we have these new dungeons, we have this, and this, we have all these other areas. And if you want to attempt to dabble in large scale PvP, you could do that. If you want to go into battlegrounds, you can do that. You should talk about everything. The more you talk about everything that the game has, the more people you can draw in. I totally get it. I totally understand that, drawing in, talking about the new quest lines and stuff, and all this stuff in the lore, and bringing in new players in that regard, that is important. but you should also talk to those new players when you do that, and at least have a part and go like, hey, and we also have this extensive PvP area where we have hundreds of thousands of people playing a day, and it's big team battles, and we have small scale battlegrounds, and there's dueling tournaments, and you can bring in and you could talk about all these different things, because it's only better for the game. Because like people like questing, but at some point the questing's done. You know, there are some ongoing aspects of this game that you could pull people in on, and I really do think that even though performance has been bad as far as PvP goes, that's something that they should talk about, you know, at least more than we're getting Lancers. You know, it doesn't have to be a whole lot more. It could be 2 to 3 minutes, but you should be able to fit 2 to 3 minutes into talking about housing and PvP and all these other aspects of the game. Because if you're trying to pull people in, you should show everything that you have, you know, in my opinion. Number 2, maybe I get a little flack for this too, but how Fangrush and Outcast weren't on the stage is beyond me. Like, that just, it blows my mind. You know, if you're thinking of content creators that are, you know, basically like very passionate about this game and they care about this game and the community knows them, it's Fangrush and it's Outcast. You know, it's both of those guys, and they weren't up there. Outcast was in the crowd. Like, how is Outcast in Vegas, but you don't have him on stage? Like, I'm sorry, but like, I know they had a couple stream team guys up there, and one of the stream team guys got in trouble for doing something against the law, but that's kind of my point. Like, a lot of people don't know who those guys are. Like, people that play ESO, most people either know Fangrush or they know Outcast because they're on Outcast's site looking up information, you know, or they're watching the largest Twitch streamer, one of the largest Twitch streamers for the game. Like, I just don't get why those guys aren't up there. You know, it just doesn't make much sense to me. I'm not trying to like be mean about anybody else or anything like that, but it's like, you know, when you're doing these big shows, you know, the people that are going to draw the biggest attention should probably be up there, you know, and that's just my opinion. Like, yeah, like, if you can get those guys on board, you know, those guys have the biggest audience, you know, some of the biggest audiences as far as like YouTube and, you know, followers are concerned, and you get them on board with the new patch and you kind of explain to them what's going on, and, you know, you bring them up and you get them talking about the game, you know, they bring that back to their communities. You know, I think that's a way better route, you know, because they just have bigger reach, you know. And so like I said, I'm not trying to knock anybody else. Like, if they brought me up there, and they're not going to, you know, that's not happening. But if they brought me up there, I'd be like, dude, why the fuck isn't Outcast and Fangrush up here? Like, it doesn't make any sense why I'm here. You know what I mean? Like, that, I'm not trying to knock anybody else. I'm just trying to state that those guys should be there, you know, if you're going to do one of these announcement shows. So I thought it was a good idea. I thought it was, you know, it was the first one and everything. But yeah, like, the goal is to make money. I totally get it. You want to bring in new players. You need to get new players buying the game. Totally get that. But you should show everything, you know, and that's all I'm trying to say. And I've said it a few times, but we're going to leave it at that. But overall, I guess we'll see what is going to happen with the upcoming patches. I think early to mid-January is the next PTS. As you guys know, I'll be reading the patch notes. I will be going on the PTS. I'll be doing all sorts of tests. Yeah, if you guys like that, stay tuned. Feel free to subscribe to the channel. I do as many gear set reviews as possible as it pertains to PvP. And yeah, that's kind of what my channel revolves around. So that's going to be the end of this video. Thank you for watching, guys. Have a nice day.